January 1945, Stalag 9B, Bad Orb, Germany. Sergeant Johnny Stevens stands in formation while German guards separate American POWs by race. White prisoners go left toward main barracks. Black prisoners go right toward a smaller, older building with broken windows and inadequate heating. A German guard walks down the black prisoners' line, making comments to his colleague in German. Schau dir diese Affen an, die verstehen sowieso nichts. Look at these apes. They don't understand anything anyway. Stevens, from Cincinnati's German neighborhood, responds quietly in perfect German. Ich verstehe alles. Und Ihr Vorgesetzter wird auch alles verstehen, wenn ich ihm von dieser Beleidigung berichte. I understand everything, and your superior will understand everything when I report this insult to him. The guard freezes. His colleague stares. Stevens continues, switching to Cologne dialect. Oder soll ich es auf Kölsch sagen, damit Sie es besser verstehen? Or should I say it in Cologne dialect so you understand better? The guard steps back. He's been making racist comments freely for weeks because no prisoner could understand. Now he discovers this prisoner not only understands German, but can identify regional dialects. Around Stevens, 4 other black prisoners are hiding identical reactions. They've been understanding every German conversation in this camp for weeks. They know which guards are cruel, which follow regulations, which are searching for escape routes, which are terrified the war is ending. They've been silent, gathering intelligence, waiting. Now Stevens just announced their capability. In the next 24 hours, everything changes. This is Stalag 9B, winter 1945, when German guards discovered their prisoners understood every private conversation they'd had. If you want military history about prisoners surviving through intelligence gathered in plain sight, subscribe right now. Drop a comment with where you're watching from. These POWs knew more about their captors than the captors knew about themselves. Stalag 9B, Bad Orb, Germany, holds approximately 4,000 American POWs after the Battle of the Bulge. Germans separate prisoners immediately. White officers in one area, white enlisted in another, black enlisted in the worst barracks, the oldest building, worst heated, most crowded. The separation serves 2 purposes. It mirrors American segregation. Germans learned quickly that Americans maintained racial separation. It also reflects Nazi racial ideology. Black prisoners are subhuman, deserve worst conditions. Black prisoners receive less food than white prisoners. Their medical needs receive less attention. Guards treat them with open contempt. The guards speak freely in German around black prisoners, assuming none can understand. They make racist comments, discuss camp security, gossip about the war's progress, complain about their duties. This is catastrophic intelligence failure. 5 black prisoners from German-American communities understand every word. Sergeant Johnny Stevens from Cincinnati, Private Marcus Webb from Milwaukee, Corporal Henry Braun, whose German grandfather gave him the name, from Philadelphia, Private First Class Otto Fisher from St. Louis, Sergeant David Keller from Chicago's German North Side. All 5 grew up speaking German at home, in church, in German-language schools. All 5 are fluent, not just conversational German, but cultural fluency, including regional dialects, idiomatic expressions, literary references. They recognized each other's fluency within days of arriving at Stalag 9B. They agreed silently, "Say nothing. Let the guards keep talking." For weeks, they gather intelligence in plain sight, standing in formation, eating meals, performing assigned labor, while German guards conduct entire conversations, assuming the black prisoners understand nothing. The intelligence these 5 soldiers gather is extensive. Camp security, guard rotation schedules, which posts are monitored closely, which areas are patrolled less frequently, where gaps in perimeter exist. German morale, guards are demoralized. They discuss the war's progress privately, Allied advances in the West, Soviet advances in the East. Many believe Germany has already lost. Some are terrified of what comes after defeat. Individual guard assessment. Which guards follow Geneva Convention? Which are cruel opportunists? Which are young and uncertain? This knowledge helps prisoners know who to approach for requests and who to avoid. War news. Guards discuss military developments freely. Prisoners learn about Allied advances months before official information reaches them. Planned changes. When rations will be reduced, when inspections will occur, when prisoner transfers are planned. This is the story of prisoners who gathered intelligence for weeks before revealing their capability. If you want military history about silence as survival strategy, subscribe right now. Drop a comment with where you're watching from. These 5 soldiers may have known more about Stalag 9B than the camp commander. The 5 share intelligence carefully, communicating with trusted prisoners, using gathered information to help fellow POWs survive. When rations are about to be cut, they warn prisoners to conserve food. When transfers are planned, they identify which prisoners are being moved. When cruel guards are scheduled for duty, they warn prisoners to stay quiet and avoid confrontation. Stevens coordinates their effort. They never let guards know they understand German. Each piece of intelligence is used carefully to avoid revealing their capability. Then, Stevens makes a calculation. Their silence has limits. When a guard makes a comment that puts a prisoner in immediate danger, threatening to punish someone for a minor infraction, Stevens reveals his fluency to intervene. That moment comes in January 1945, when the guard makes his "apes" comment and threatens a prisoner with punishment for perceived disrespect. Stevens responds, "The secret is out." The 24 hours after Stevens reveals his fluency are dangerous. Guards who made racist comments in German now know a prisoner understood them. They have 2 options: accommodate themselves to this prisoner's capability, or become more aggressive to reassert control. The cruel guards choose aggression. They increase harassment, arbitrarily deny rations, fabricate rule violations. They're reasserting dominance they can't maintain intellectually. Stevens and the other German speakers navigate this carefully. They're prisoners with no leverage beyond their knowledge. Being too assertive invites violence. Being too passive allows cruelty to continue. The camp's administrative officer, a different matter. When Stevens reports to him in formal German, citing specific regulations and requesting better treatment for black prisoners, the officer is caught off guard. He's a career military man who believes in following regulations, even if he shares some racial prejudices. A prisoner who speaks formal German, cites Geneva Convention articles by number, and requests specific remedies under specific regulations is difficult to dismiss. The officer doesn't immediately improve conditions, but he documents Stevens's complaints, partly out of procedural thoroughness, partly because he's uncertain what to do with a prisoner who clearly understands the legal situation. Stevens and the other German speakers become informal advocates for all black prisoners. They translate German orders, warn about inspections, negotiate for medical care, intervene when guards exceed authority. Some guards become cautiously cooperative when they realize their private conversations are no longer private. They start following regulations more carefully, knowing violations might be reported in fluent German. Webb uses his knowledge differently. He identifies the guards most likely experiencing ideological crisis, those whose Nazi convictions are weakening as German defeats multiply. He engages them in conversation about German literature and philosophy. One guard, approximately 20 years old, named Friedrich, admits the war is lost and the ideology was wrong. He starts smuggling extra bread to black prisoners, small acts of rebellion against a system he no longer believes in. The German speakers never reveal the full extent of their intelligence gathering. They don't mention knowing about escape routes, guard schedules, planned prisoner transfers. Some information is too valuable to reveal and might be needed if the opportunity for escape arises. April 2nd, 1945. American forces liberate Stalag 9B. Stevens and the other German speakers have been prisoners for approximately 3 months. They're malnourished. Black prisoners receive less food throughout captivity, but alive. During liberation, the German speakers provide immediate assistance. They translate between American forces and German camp personnel, explain camp layout and procedures, identify guards who committed violations against prisoners. Some guards who were cruel to black prisoners specifically try to flee or hide among surrendering personnel. Stevens and the others identify them to American authorities. The information they gathered during weeks of covert intelligence becomes official documentation. They provide detailed accounts of which guards violated Geneva Convention, what conditions were like, what prisoners suffered. During debriefing, American intelligence officers are fascinated by their experience. 5 soldiers who gathered intelligence by simply listening to German conversations assumed they couldn't understand. The officers ask detailed questions. What did you learn? How did you use the information? What was the guards' reaction when they discovered you understood German? The answers document a remarkable intelligence operation conducted by prisoners with no equipment, no training in espionage, and no resources beyond the German they learned growing up. The 5 soldiers return home in mid-1945. They receive standard discharges, no special recognition for their intelligence gathering. Their experience is documented in debriefing reports, but doesn't influence official histories of Stalag 9B or Black POW treatment. Stevens returns to Cincinnati. He uses GI Bill benefits, builds a career, raises a family. He occasionally tells the Stalag 9B story to friends and family. The 5 black prisoners who understood every German conversation in the camp. Most listeners don't grasp the full significance. It sounds like an interesting wartime story, but not the remarkable intelligence operation it was. In the 1990s, researchers examining Black POW experiences interview Stevens, now in his 70s. He provides detailed account of everything the 5 German speakers gathered, how they used information to help fellow prisoners, how they navigated revealing their capability. The researchers recognize the story's significance. These prisoners demonstrated extraordinary resourcefulness, using education from German-American communities to gather intelligence their captors never suspected, protect fellow prisoners, and survive captivity with dignity. Stevens dies in 2003 at age 79. His obituary mentions World War II service and POW experience. It doesn't detail the intelligence operation he led at Stalag 9B. The story remains largely unknown, one of thousands of extraordinary black soldier experiences buried in archives, personal memories, and local oral histories never incorporated into mainstream military history. What makes it remarkable isn't just the German fluency, it's the discipline. Weeks of silence while guards made racist comments in German they thought no one understood. It's the coordination. 5 soldiers sharing intelligence, using it carefully, protecting their capability until necessary to reveal it. It's the courage of that moment when Stevens finally spoke, knowing he was revealing a secret that would change the camp's dynamics, not knowing if guards would respond with accommodation or violence, choosing to speak anyway to protect a fellow prisoner. That choice defines the story. A black soldier in a German POW camp, subjected to racist treatment by both the American military that segregated him and German guards who considered him subhuman, choosing to use every resource available to protect his fellow prisoners and survive with dignity.